Hello, welcome to the Industrial Growth Lab podcast. Super excited to have everyone tuning in today. We have a great topic. We're talking about aligning sales and marketing. Who should own the tech stack? My name's Colby. I am the moderator for today's episode. I'm a marketing manager at Evenbound, and I'm joined by two of my great coworkers, Ben and Kira. Can you guys introduce yourselves?
Sure, I can go first. My name is Ben Johnson. I'm an account strategist here at Evenbound. I've been with the company coming up on 11 years, so it's been a while. And one quick fun fact about me, I got to be in one of my favorite music artists' music video this past year.
Yeah. My name is Kira Razavian. I'm the technical project manager at Evenbound. I've been here a little over a year, so much less than Ben, but I'm having just as much fun. And a fun fact about me is that I am also a published poet.
So fun.
Those are great fun facts.
My fun fact is that I've made a board game. So we're all like very published, artsy in some way or another, which I love.
You guys more than me, but that's okay.
Okay, kind of an icebreaker, but since we are talking about tech today, I also want to know, is there a piece of tech, whether at work or outside of work, that you just cannot live without? I feel like the typical answer is like, oh, I can't live without my phone, but anything besides your phone.
Yeah, besides the phone. Besides the phone, it's still an Apple product. It's my iPad because you can draw on it, and then I use it for just word processing even. I have an app for like compiling specifically like poetry and short stories, things like that. And it also is really good for reading because the Kindle app sets it side by side when you turn it sideways. So it feels like this much more like reading a real book.
Love it.
I love that. That's cool. One piece of tech that I can't live without, I'm going to say Figma, and I'm not a designer, but I actually use it both professionally and personally. Professionally, I'm using it for templates and things along those lines. But personally, I'll use it just to like design something that I'm going to be working on. Like, for example, I measured our whole backyard so that I could figure out how to like where the garden should go and things like that. And I just use Figma for it. So I use it on both sides of the fence.
Very cool. I had a lame answer. I was going to say my TV. Like, I don't know. Especially this time of year, like, I just want to like watch Dancing with the Stars. You know, that's it. I don't need a phone. I just want to watch TV. So I know that's a little more like archaic, but that's my answer. Okay, so let's get into the meat of today's episode. So like I said, we're talking about aligning sales and marketing. Who should own the tech stack? I think typically when we think about sales and marketing, we think about, those two departments or teams butting heads quite a bit. But really, if you think of, aligning those teams for more of a RevOps approach, there can be a lot of, I don't want to use the word synergy, but a lot of good collaboration there. And so I think this could be an interesting topic of, should it be all marketing? Should it be all sales? Should there be more collaboration? And I'd love to get both of your insights as both a strategic expert, Ben as the account strategist, and a technical expert, Kira, as our technical product manager. So I'm just going to open the floor there. Who do you think should own the tech stack?
Have you ever seen the viral image of those siblings in the big t-shirt, like wearing the one t-shirt and it says, "This is our get along shirt"?
Yeah, where like both heads are coming out of the same.
Yes, they're both their heads and they're squished together.
Yes.
That to me is the perfect image for this question. And where one of those kids is someone from sales and one of those kids is someone from marketing, and they need to own the tech stack together. It's their get along shirt.
Their get along shirt. That's so funny. Ben, just high level, do you agree or disagree with Kira?
I agree with Kira in that sense, especially having the opportunity to see the ins and outs of numerous different clients across the years that I've worked at Evenbound. It definitely seems like the majority of teams that we talk to, marketing and sales have no idea what each other are doing. So yes, it's like the fun forcer, right? Forcing them to have fun together, which is tough sometimes.
The big reminder that I think they need is they're trying to get the same information about the same people and working toward the same goal.
With that in mind, why do you think owning different parts of the tech stack or just like sales and marketing and in general have like such friction historically?
I think it's been siloed because they think they need different information. Marketing wants to prove the worth of their marketing efforts for obvious reasons. And sales wants specific information so they can get sales closed and through the door. But when you look at that as all one big RevOps funnel, then it starts to make sense why to other departments, why the other needs the data that they do. And how it makes sense how they can suddenly change that structure and that thinking to focus on the data that everyone can benefit from, because there may even just be some lack of understanding about why marketing or why sales needs a certain thing, but it's possible that it could benefit the other department at the same time.
I definitely agree with that. And I think, Kira, to your point of the two different departments not knowing what either the other department is doing or what metrics they're responsible for, I think we commonly hear things like, well, all the leads from marketing are bad, right? And I think the counterpoint to that is like, well, have you told marketing what you're looking for? Because if they don't know who to bring in, then that could be an issue, right? So that again goes back to that collaboration of marketing and sales really need to know what each other are focusing on or doing so that they can each provide each other with good information, what's working in terms of a lead and what's not working in terms of a lead.
Right. And then if they're held accountable to the same goals or goals that are attached to one another, then that makes them feel more responsible for the success of the other department. Because I think sometimes there's some competition, like marketing wants to prove their worth. They want to be in charge of how they get the data that they get. But sales also wants to be in charge of their data, even though in many cases there's overlap and it's all the same data. So working together on that is usually the better bet.
Yeah, absolutely. Thinking about specific tech, whether it's like a software, a CRM, a app, what have you. How do you recommend sales and marketing teams? Because we've suggested like they need to work together, they need to cooperate and collaborate. How should they go about like making those big tech decisions? Where they're making sure both departments are happy or just like we said, more aligned to the goal of revenue and rev ops.
I think at least one person from each team needs to be involved in those big tech decisions, even if it's something very marketing focused. For example, the marketing team wants a new software for scheduling social posts. I think there should be someone from sales in on that decision so that they know exactly what's happening. They don't feel left out and they see what data is being used to target, what can be used to target, what information they're going to get reporting wise from this tool, and how they can qualify people. And the salesperson, the person from the sales team in this decision-making process may be able to bring up questions and points from a different perspective that marketing didn't think of that would help them pick the right software and then set it up for a better RevOps fund.
I definitely think both people should be involved from a decision-making process. However, using that example that you had, Kira, if I'm just scheduling out social posts, I wonder how much does that salesperson care about that? Now, I'm not saying there's not an opportunity for them to, leverage that too, because I think salespeople should be posting their own content on social and things like that. But, it may just be more of like a, hey, we're using this. Here's what we're using it for. Do you have any questions kind of a thing? That's kind of more the route that I'm thinking in my head.
You want people to be invested. If they're going to sit in and be a part of that decision, they need to care and, take it seriously, because the marketing teams, in Kira's example, is probably taking it seriously because it's a tool they're going to use all the time and get a lot of value out of. So sales needs to have that understanding in mind and vice versa.
Right. Mm-hmm. And if they're going to get a new tool, the marketing team. They should be able to explain how it would benefit the sales team in the end. And then sales team, if they're getting something new, they should be able to explain how it would also benefit the marketing team.
I agree with that for sure.
So I want to break down a specific piece of tech or software and how sales and marketing can share ownership over that. So HubSpot, it's the CRM, giant we use all the time. Obviously in HubSpot, we have Marketing Hub, we have Content Hub, we have Sales Hub. Should we be breaking down like ownership and responsibility based on those hubs? Should it not be? Is that just another way of siloing? What would you recommend thinking through? Okay, we're all on this tool because it has marketing, sales, customer service. How do we manage the ownership of that tool and responsibility across our teams?
In my opinion, everyone should at least know their way around every hub. So they may not own it, they may not spend all their time in it, but they understand how it works. And then after that, there are just places where marketing is going to be in landing pages and sales isn't. But that doesn't necessarily translate to ownership as much as collaboration through this system that's just all connected.
Yeah, that's great. And I totally align with that. I do think it's important, no matter which hubs or how much you have invested in HubSpot, anybody who's going to be using the tool, I think, should be familiar with what you have in terms of tools at your fingertips, right? However, I think one thing just to add to Kira's points would be we should have some kind of, or this theoretical company should have some sort of high level dashboards or high level reporting where everybody can see how each person's contribution is affecting the sales pipeline. So think about the customer journey map, right? And like maybe there's a report there where it shows like all the leads that marketing is bringing in and what is in the sales pipeline. And then also too, what have we gotten from a customer service perspective? Have we been able to bring another deal back in from a client that we've already closed, or are we able to get 5-star reviews? And having that one report or that area to see how everybody is progressing, I think gives transparency and also holds people accountable.
That's a really good point. And I also think a great area for collaboration in HubSpot for the sales and marketing teams is making sure that the marketing to sales handoff is smooth. And part of that is working together to define what's a marketing qualified lead and what's a sales qualified lead. Because if everyone on both teams agrees with those definitions, that handoff is going to be much smoother, and there's going to be less of the situation Ben mentioned earlier when sales thinks that marketing is sending them bad leads.
And they might be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're not looking to convert 100% of your marketing qualified leads into sales qualified leads. That's not realistic. But I think that's a great point in, having an upfront conversation where marketing people and salespeople sit down and decide on these definitions of what an MQL is, what an SQL is, what that transition looks like. To your point, Kira, I think sets people up for success and probably avoids some headaches in the future.
Right. The same can be said for personas. Setting up personas in HubSpot should be something that marketing and sales both agree on. And just the overall ICP for a business should be something that's decided on together.
I do want to touch on, Ben brought up reports. And I think, again, looking at this in the light of, or in the lens of RevOps, like reporting and sharing those metrics is really important. So I just want to open the floor up for any other thoughts on sharing that reporting, maybe what metrics should live on these reports for both teams to align on. I know for a lot of companies, they probably have a marketing dashboard and a sales dashboard. Do you recommend getting rid of those and it's all living on one overview dashboard? Or do you still think it's important to have, department specific dashboards and reports?
I see it like merging your accounts after you're married. Keep your separate ones and then make a new joint one.
I love that.
So I think there's definitely something to be said for having two separate dashboards because there are little things that sales just won't care about. And we want to keep some of those separate, and we want the marketing team to feel ownership over their efforts at the same time. But then there should be one dashboard that shows how each team is affecting the other. So maybe that's the amount of calls with contacts that were MQLs and then moved to SQL, and then how long that took, or even how long it took for an MQL to become a customer, and looking at that journey and seeing together how these different touch points are happening on the different teams and what each team member can do to speed that up or make that process more efficient.
Yeah, I think I definitely resonate with everything that Kira said. I would just add on to that, individual dashboards and reports for your team to get your specific information you need from day to day, right? But when we're thinking about this overall picture, I'm almost envisioning it as like, hey, we're going to set these goals for the year for our sales and marketing department. And this is our goal for 2025, for example, right? And then that's a check-in. One collaborative report we're talking about is more of a check-in on like, how are we tracking towards goal, and where can we, push the gas pedal to try and like help us meet our goal? Does marketing need to generate more leads? Or are we getting enough leads, but we're not closing enough sales? Where is that misstep? And not that anybody's doing anything wrong, but what can we look at to say like, oh, maybe we need to, increase our frequency of sales communications because we're only hitting them 2 times a month versus if we hit them every single week, we can see that we're going to close more deals, right? So that's the kind of conversation that I would envision. All the teams coming together, like maybe once a month or once a quarter, to look and see how progress is going for the year and trying to pivot and make changes based off of that data.
Yeah, it's also a great place to see what's working well and how you can capitalize off what's already working. So, for example, going back to the social idea, if we're looking at this dashboard together and we see that a lot of MQLs and are turning into SQLs and they're all coming from social, then we can look and see which ad that was and all talk about why that was performing well. And then take those principles and start expanding on what we're already doing well.
Definitely. And I think that, just to kind of put one more cherry on top of the pie, learning from each other, right? Because marketing is doing their tactics, let's just say for the quarter, sales is doing their tactics, customer service is doing their tactics. We may all come together in sales, or maybe even customer service may bring up something that says like, hey, just so you know, this was a common theme of all the reviews that we got last quarter. Like, we should definitely put this in our sales and marketing messaging, right? So it gives everybody a chance to kind of share their perspectives of the business from their own individual viewpoints.
For sure, promoting that collaboration over the more traditional siloed approach. I do have one question. Ben, you kind of sparked this in my head, just talking about 2025. And if you're a company and you're thinking, okay, we're spending a lot of money on tech or softwares or things we don't need. Marketing has this tool, sales has this tool. Like, how should these companies be thinking about going into 2025 and maybe consolidating some of their tech, but so that both marketing and sales are on board?
That's a really good question. Because I can prescribe something as much as I want, but getting sales and marketing on board is the hard part.
Yes, agree there. I think I think if you're thinking in 2025 about a, tech stack change, I think the conversation, we need sales and marketing at the table, right? To say, here's the features and functionality that I need. Here's the features and functionality that I need from the other side of the table. And then I think what needs to happen is evaluating that software and determining, one software might not be the solution for everything. So figuring out, if it can't do everything that you want, what are the pieces and parts that you still need that this doesn't cover? And then how can we maybe get those to integrate or incorporate with each other so that, you can use maybe the quoting functionality that is been developed for a long time and is working really well, but you want that data to be pulled into, your CRM.
At Evenbound, we are a HubSpot partner. So obviously I'm biased, but I'm also biased because I've seen it work so many times. And my team, the tech team, we really start with documentation. And part of that documentation isn't just the tech systems, it's documenting the sales process and the sales to marketing handoff, picking out what's working well, what might not be. And I think doing that exercise as a company before looking into consolidating tech is always a good idea, because then you're seeing what's necessary in this entire process, what's necessary for the sales, marketing to sales handoff to be smooth. And then you get a better idea of your business requirements when you're looking at new systems.
And I love documenting before just diving right in and slashing subscriptions and all that fun stuff. I do want to wrap us up, but I want to give each of you the floor again to leave people with a final piece of advice, or, just a takeaway. Like, if you took anything away from this episode, here's what it would be, with the goal to be, let's better align our marketing and sales team for them to own the tech stack together and be less siloed.
All right, I'll give us something to leave off with. So I think having one stakeholder from each team, at least, in meetings where these decisions are being made, is essential. And it's also essential to have everyone at the table from each department when goals are being made, because these goals need to be intertwined. It shouldn't just be a sales goal or just be a marketing goal. It should be a company-wide goal that all teams are contributing to. And kind of along with that, it's good to remind everyone that everyone's in the same funnel, looking for the same people. So we're really all on the same team. We're just using different data and different tactics to accomplish the same.
One piece of advice that I can give to everybody, and I think it'll be a really easy one and you could do it fairly quickly, whether you're in a marketing seat, a sales seat, or even a customer service seat, in the next week, 2 weeks, book some time with somebody in another department, whether that be sales or marketing or customer service, and ask them, how their goals are coming, how their leads are, anything that they've noticed in trends, and just kind of get more familiar with their process if you don't have that relationship with them. And that can be a good stepping stone to starting this collaboration conversation and trying to, align those goals so that everybody, to Kira's point, is on the same team and heading towards the same finish line.
I think those are both great ending thoughts from our two experts. I do want to add my own 2 cents here, but it's a little self-promoting, so pardon me.
Go for it.
We just created this HubSpot sales process SOP. I know it says sales in the title, but I think it's a really great place to start, or just to, take a look at when mapping up like your sales and marketing process and putting that into HubSpot. We talk about in that guide, which is free to download and I'll link, but we talk about like defining your MQLs, what changes in MQL from an SQL, and it's just one central document where, all teams can have eyes on it. So there shouldn't be any confusion on, oh, well, this SQL is a bad lead and it came from marketing. Well, it shouldn't be, because we have these parameters set in place, etc. So that's a cool tool. Like I said, I'll link that below, but something tangible that people can take a look at.
Yeah, I love a good centralized document.
For sure. Don't we all?
Yes.
Well, this has been super fun. Thank you both for having this conversation with me. The goal is to, keep bringing on strategic and technical experts and just having different conversations, whether I feel like we agreed pretty well throughout this conversation, but I'm excited for one where, we really start to butt heads. And
yeah, I was looking forward to a fight, but
hey, we both know what works.
Maybe I'll pick some like juicier, more hotly debated topics in the future.
And make somebody take a side. Say you have to come to this meeting with a side.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Please subscribe, give it a like, share it with a friend. All of that would be super helpful and mean a lot to us. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.